Hey, how y'all doing out there? I got some old crazy news for y'all. Cassie moved on with her life, but all the men that she dealt with either stressed, depressed, wanting and needing, in jail. The Punisher writing books about Cassie. This man obsessed. And allegedly, he thinking that that might be his baby. She's still calling him on the late night just to have conversations. They still got soul ties together. And Diddy do too. This man don't know if he in love with Cassie, Diddy. He don't know if he in love with Mace, Total. He don't know if he in love with Cassie's husband. Her sex got these men all confused. And besides that, it's a possibility that her husband might not be her baby daddy. The way the Punisher talking about her all on the news, it's like he can't get enough. He's still thinking about the past, all that baby oil, them candle lights, them intimate moments with a multi-millionaire music mogul. That's something you ain't gonna forget overnight. And now his life is surrounded by Cassie. He can't stop thinking about her. The moments when they first touched, the first time they seen each other from the last time they seen each other, which wasn't that long ago. They said they still had dealings over the years because once they connected, it was hard to end the fire, especially when you got Rick James and Tina Marie playing in the background. And Diddy seen it. He know that look in the Punisher's eyes when he really, really want Cassie. Everybody have it. She a Jezebel. People trying to jump through their screen just to get up close. I'm about to share this news with y'all. It's gonna get hot and heavy because this man ain't never gonna stop talking about his freezer meat. He lost his mojo after he had with Cassie because that was the first time he ever experienced something like that. And he thought that he was the only one. Come to find out she was being intimate with a whole bunch of people. And Diddy seen it? Y'all need to listen at this because this man need prayer.
The stage name, The Punisher, to the jury. Sheree Hayes is his real name and one of the few witnesses to give an uncensored look inside Diddy's freak-offs. In 2012, the exotic dancer allegedly received a call from a woman requesting a striptease for someone named Janet, aka Cassie Ventura, and her friends. Hayes says he believes Cassie found him through his getpunished.com website. And at their first meeting, Hayes said Cassie told him her and her husband liked to create a sexy scene, one that her husband would eventually come out to watch. And during that first encounter, Diddy allegedly gave mostly subtle directions. The compensation for that rendezvous, $2,000. Under cross-examination, Hayes testified that Cassie did not appear uncomfortable during their encounters. He, quote, did not get any cues that there was a discomfort with what was going on over the 8 to 12 interactions they all had. Sheree said, The Punisher, Hayes, joins me now, and he's also the author of In Search of Freezer Meat. He joins us now. Sheree, welcome. It's been a week since you testified. First of all, I'm just wondering what the reaction has been like in your life, knowing that this is such a high-profile case, and here you are in the spotlight in this way.
Yeah, it's been like a whirlwind. A constant outreach from media outlets like this, and just friends and family, people from junior high school actually reaching out just randomly, to check in and speak up. It's been a very interesting, trying week.
You've reflected, I think, in some time about what your testimony said and what is like in that courtroom. Can you tell me a little bit what it was like to be on that stand a few feet away from Sean Diddy Combs, who you obviously had been around before in these sexual encounters, but he was more of a voyeur at those times. What was it like being in the room in the courtroom?
Yeah, so I have to say, I thought going into it, I was pretty prepared and confident, but literally when I walked in the room, I got complete anxiety. Like my entire body was shaking. Whatever I envisioned or what I thought, because obviously you can't see anything, it was the tension and the magnitude of the moment was much, much deeper. So it was to some degree terrifying. Like I just could not, whatever I envisioned, it was just so much more that I was not mentally prepared.
You know, I mentioned that he was a voyeur during the sexual encounters. You were involved with Cassie Ventura directly in those rooms, as you've testified. Were you ever involved with Sean Diddy Combs? Did you two ever have an interaction in those sexual encounters?
No, actually, not one conversation, not even eye contact.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
Well, it was told to me immediately, like on the first encounter, that I was instructed to not look at him, not acknowledge him, not have any interactions with.
By Cassie?
Yeah, by Cassie. So those were the instructions. So I did my best to follow them to the best of my ability because, initially I did not know who they were. And so I just saw it as an opportunity. I see this stunningly beautiful woman and, $2,000 for this type of interaction was, kind of like a no-brainer in terms of it. So I wanted to follow the directions as much as possible. So there was literally no interaction, I didn't even look directly at him.
Because normally you are a dancer, and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual intercourse.
Exactly. So,
okay.
Yeah, so this is nuance. It's not something that happens, I've done thousands of parties. This is the only time I was propositioned with something like this, and it was in such magnitude. Like we're in a Trump hotel, it's like these huge suites, and you can tell this is a very high-profile couple. So I just wanted to be as professional for the scenario as I would assume was required.
Did you ever travel outside of New York with them?
I did not.
When you were engaged in this encounter and intimate with Cassie Ventura, as you've said on the stand, you were asked about whether you had any notice or any idea how she felt about the interaction, whether she was consenting, whether she was uncomfortable in any way. You testified you did not feel as though she was uncomfortable at all. Can you explain?
Yeah, so there was always, like, before the sexual activity, there was always, like, downtime. So I would be greeted by Cassie, kind of put in a room, and we would have casual conversation,
About how long did that last?
10, 15 minutes, and it would be, consistent. How's work going? How's the parties? How's things? So it seemed like a very cordial, laid back situation. And I actually believed that the scenario was real. It was like her birthday. This was something they were doing as a couple that wasn't normal. I mean, that wasn't their norm. And I honestly thought I was the only person they were engaging with.
Y'all listening to the sounds of a heartbroken man. He can't believe that he got played. The same way Kid Cudi couldn't believe he got played. Diddy definitely got played. Cassie, you need to apologize to this man because he's stuck. He and his feelings about all of this. When you intimate with somebody on that level, that's something that you just can't erase. His voice trembling when he talking. He can't sleep. He look deprived of food, water. All he really want is Cassie. And if that's his baby, and she about to give birth any moment now, then he need to be down there to hold her and console her because her husband really ain't worth a damn. He not a real man. Cassie needs somebody that can punish her because she been a bad girl. Better yet, she probably need a bad boy. They all need to just get married. Have a monogamous relationship, Diddy the Punisher, Cassie's husband, and invite more people to the bedroom. We want to see a real freak off anyway. What they talk about in court, that ain't no freak off. Where Ashton Kutcher at? Where Justin Bieber at? Where Usher at? Where the females at? You mean to tell me Cassie, the only woman that ever been invited to a freak off at Diddy's house? I'm surprised they had a woman in there, period, how they was talking a couple of months ago. I feel bad for the Punisher. Y'all need to keep listening at this.
So I had almost a belief that I was, wow, like this is a cool thing. Like I'm the person they're choosing for this kind of fetish type of environment. And
nothing seemed illegal to you or anything out of sorts? Not
even close. Like I didn't even get any thought of anybody being like under the influence of any drugs or anything. It seems like for the circumstance, everybody was just normally in their right state of mind, and this was just something they did for sexual pleasure.
You never saw any violence?
Nothing close.
Interestingly, you say you haven't seen any violence, you didn't see anyone under the influence of drugs, and you didn't have any idea that she was not consenting in some way. Why do you think you were called to testify?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Like it's
Really?
after the fact. I'm the only thing that I can kind of maybe think is, there was directions, right? It was in my testimony. It was clear that it was him, I guess, somewhat in control. Not
so?
overbearingly. I mean, it was said to me this scene we were creating was for her husband, aka him. So the only thing I can say is maybe they were trying to show another element of control. And even though in my case it wasn't forceful or aggressive, but it's still another dynamic that maybe they were trying to establish.
Did you ever see cameras or
I did
anything being
not.
filmed?
I did not. The rooms were always extremely dim and dark, just candlelit. So it was, if there were cameras, it would have to be some sort of infrared, low light scenario because it was very dark in there.
Who paid you?
Always Cassie.
Did you ever see where the money came from?
I did not. Only one time, like I said in my testimony, we were actually engaging in sexual activity, and he threw a stack of $100 bills on the bed. That Cassie turned to him and asked him was everything was fine. And he just said, I'm enjoying it, in so many words. And I know that money was collected after the fact and given to me. So that would be the only scenario where I guess money came directly from him by way of, slamming it on the bed, like almost like how somebody would do at like at a strip club.
How, when you've reflected back on your testimony, do you think that your testimony was helpful to the prosecution or the defense in any way?
I mean, going into it, I always thought that because I saw no violence or any outward aggression, I always wondered if this was more beneficial to the defense. But I don't understand the angle of how they're trying to take my testimony and connect it to what they're trying to prove. It's very nuanced what constitutes a RICO and racketeering, and I don't know enough yet. I haven't heard enough to see if my testimony aligns with what they're trying to prove.
One thing that Cassie said on the stand was that she wanted Diddy to know that people were not disposable. And it almost sounded like she was talking collectively about everyone involved in these sexual encounters and these so-called freak-offs. Did you yourself ever feel as though you were either disposable or that you yourself were being trafficked in some way or prostituted?
No, not trafficked in some way or whatever. There was always pressure in terms of being disposable because obviously I'm there to create something, like a scene, to create an environment. So at times where there was sexual pressure, because it's out of my norm, I did have a feeling of, okay, I'm one, scenario where if I don't perform the right way, if I don't create the right ambiance, then maybe I won't get called back. But that's the most pressure that I had. There was no indication of I really believe they were just a happy couple, and this was a sexual fetish that they had.
Do you ever see them be affectionate during these freak-offs together?
I did not. They would never actually interact in front of me. There was like a kind of a cue where if he needed to speak to her or have some sort of direction with her, he would just stand up and leave the room. And if she saw that, she would follow him out. They would be gone 5-10 minutes. Then she'll come back and we'll resume for the most part. But no interaction in front of me. No even conversation other than his directions, which were subtle: move the light, turn your body, maybe put more oil. Those type of gestures in communication.
You said you wanted to, after your testimony, feel at peace with what you've said. Knowing what you do now about what Cassie Ventura has said about how she's felt about these freak-offs, what would you say to her if you could?
I would apologize. I would apologize because I had no idea, no indication what she was going through. And if, obviously my involvement kind of furthered her suffering, so just me knowing that as a man, being raised by a single mom and a grandma, just the thought of partaking in a scenario where a woman is possibly being abused is tough to hear. So, I would just apologize to her and, tell her that I was really remorseful and regret if I contributed to a bad experience for her.
Sheree Hayes, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
If anything, Cassie need to be apologizing to him. That man look and sound traumatized. He ain't know what he got himself into. And on top of that, she said she had STDs and kept on performing with these men, didn't tell them nothing. She talking out one side of her mouth because she got herpes on the other side of her mouth. And she had the nerve to slurp on the Punisher. And then he turned around and apologized to her on national TV. I'm trying to tell y'all, them soul ties is crazy. He's standing in front of the freezer looking for his meat. He don't know where it went. Cassie done ate it up the same way she did Diddy's Tootsie Roll. I'm so hurt about this. There's plenty of men that get involved with women that been with a whole bunch of men, and then when they done with these women, they realize they ain't got no soul, and they got to keep on going back to these women. And unfortunately for the Punisher, we don't know if he the father or if the man that come haul the trash is the father. Cassie can't be trusted. She was standing outside setting up a freak off when her husband went to the store to get some milk for the kids. This is so sad and unfortunate. Diddy, if you listening, man, when you come home, you might want to practice celibacy for the rest of your life, because the era we living in now, that poontang can get you in a whole lot of trouble. It's a bunch of men out here going broke, losing their self, losing their soul, losing their self-esteem, losing everything that God given them just to be lying down with some woman that ain't worth nothing, that just a succubus, and to take everything you have. And I want to pray for Cassie, because I know she's sitting on all that money, and she know how she got the money. Everybody know how she got the money. They talking about she's America's biggest hoe. Hey, she got money. She rich, but I don't mean she happy. That baby coming is going to be crying and screaming. I wish them the best. Her husband a better man than me. But then again, if my old lady came up on 30 mil, I don't give a damn what she did. Break me off a little something, have me rolling around in the Escalade. Get me a Maybach. Get me a Lamborghini. And I know the Punisher heard about that money. He willing to come back to do some more work. And I'm pretty sure she'll call him, because they did have intimate moments together. They might as well be together, because he obviously thinking about her, doing these blogs. He doing streams. He up on CNN. He writing books. Cassie got that thing. She put it on you one time, and you ain't never gonna forget it. It's a bunch of men waiting for her to drop that baby so they could shoot their shot. They trying to test it out. We all heard, Cassie. Your milkshake bring all the boys to the yard. What in the hell you got going on in them hotel rooms to make Diddy lose his cool and put his foot in your behind? I don't want to try it. Well, maybe I want to sample, but I got to be duct taped up, condomed up, put some saran wrap all over my body. I test it out. I give it a sample. What y'all think? For y'all brothers out there, y'all feel me? Y'all willing to give it a sample? I don't think I want it though. Cause like I said earlier, them soul ties too deep, man. You had them parasites all in your body. Next thing you know, you dancing like Diddy. You in the courtroom with a gray afro, with an itchy sweater on, with your kids sitting behind you eating popcorn. They gonna have you on trial. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this in the comment section, man. I got so much love for y'all. Make sure y'all do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button too. And one more thing, subscribe to my channel if that's what you want.
Subscribe to my channel if that's what you want. But if that's not what you like, then you must be a punk. Hold on now, here we go. Who is this girl? She got that junk in her trunk. Baby girl, back it up, poke out your rump. It's S.A.T that you want.